And good evening and welcome to Monday Night Live. I am Steve Leahy. How are you all doing? Thanks for hanging in with me last week. I was not feeling great, but I'm all better now, so we're all good. We have a good one tonight. I wasn't prepared for everyone choosing the Corvette last week. I could have sworn you guys were going to pick the airbrush holder. So this week I thought I'd make it up to you, and I am prepared for the Corvette painting this week. So we're going to work on the body, which will be a little bit of everything, so it'll be fun. I don't have a whole bunch of show and tell, so we'll be able to get right into it. I do have one painting to show you, so that'll be the 543 for this week, but I'm really going to try to get back to doing 3 of them. So it's just been super crazy, but we have the 543 tonight, and we'll give one away, and everything is good. That's what I got. So let's just switch things around and we'll get going. One super cool announcement though, again, last week I mentioned it. The summer sale is going on. Please take advantage of this. The big sales happen only twice a year, and this is what we're doing right now. So if you type in summer 25 in the code box on my website, it gives you 40% off everything. That includes big time original paintings, prints, even the puny download. It gives you 40% off everything. So take advantage of that. It's only good for another week. It ends at the end of the month. So do it. I'll be reminding you as we go along tonight because, like I said, it's a big one and it's worth doing. What else we got? Oh, yeah, let me do that. Speaking of huge thanks, I want to thank Bug, Bill, Snegan, and Honey. You guys were our star givers last week. I keep calling you star givers, but the super chat. Thank you so much for that. Just means a whole ton when you guys interact with the feed, and certainly when you show the love with a monetary thing. That helps out a lot, trust me. So that's great. All right, so let's look at some stuff. Which one? This one. No, not that one. This one. You guys still get to see the mess over here. I still haven't cleaned up, but I'll get to that too. All right, and I'm doing dual tech over here because I need this. I need this guy over here for the reference photo. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But this one I want to see comments over here because I'm not going to be able to see comments unless I do the right thing here. And that should do that, but we'll see what happens. It'll take a minute to catch up because I think there's a delay. All right. So my one and only 543 tonight was not suggested by you guys. It's actually something that I had picked out. And this is keeping with the whole Corvette thing today. So I decided that it would be fun to do this guy right here for tonight. So what this is, if you are a nerd like me, switch over to this one. What am I doing? Oh, okay. So this, a little bit of light on that. This is in focus, maybe? Yeah. I'll say hi to everyone as soon as I get my thing warmed up. I can see you guys jumping in. So this is is a C4 Corvette, mid-80s. You know, they built them from mid-80s to early 90s, the C4 model. And yet this one is modified by Callaway Motors. So when young Steve was going through high school and college, he was very aware of Callaway. I loved the Corvette, and to see what Callaway did to this car was just outrageous. So Callaway Motors, they were founded in 1977, and they specialized in modifying mostly GM vehicles, but especially the Corvette. This particular model, excuse me, was a twin turbo version of the C4, and it was known as the Sledgehammer. This car set a street legal speed record of 254 miles an hour, and that was during the 80s. It originally, it cost you, if you wanted a car like this, you would have to send your brand new, or you'd buy the car from a Chevy dealership, and then they would immediately send it to Callaway, very much the same way that Shelby does with the Mustang. So you would send your brand new Corvette to them. It would have cost you $50,000 back then, and they would send you back a bright, shiny new Sledgehammer. So to give you an idea, $50K in the 80s is roughly worth about $141,000 now. Add that to the $24,000 sticker price back then, which is about $80,000 back then. So you would have spent about 220 grand on this car if you use today's money. However, it is a beast. So I thought I'd have fun with it. I didn't show all the cool stuff. They do have the neat hood, and then they also have a special air scoop behind the front wheels. But this car was insane. So that is my 543 tonight, and I just called that Callaway. All right, now I'm going to try to get comments because YouTube loves me. Right? YouTube, do you love me? But that's it. So over here, you can't see it because it's not there, but we're ready to work on the Corvette, so the other Corvette. So I'm going to put this aside. If you win tonight, super congrats. You can pick that one, or you can pick any of the 543s that are on there. You can also do whatever you want, because that's what we do. Why does this not show up on my page when I'm here? Stop. That's last week. There it is. I knew it would work. Ta-da! Look at that. Now I can say hello to everyone. Hello to everyone. Dan Mayer, what's up? Rick Lotta, happy Monday. Oh, and happy summer, whatever, solstice. Solstice? Yes. Yeah. Poco, what's up? Enzo, what's going on? Rob O'Malley. Patty C. Patty, I did not get your message last week because... let me switch to this one. One thing I'm trying to get people to do, and this isn't about Patty or anything, this is about everyone. If I ask you to send me a message, or if you want to send me a message, send it to me through the website. Go to stephenlay.com, either do it through the chat or just send me an email. That goes right to me. I get that right away. Facebook and Meta, they're playing lots and lots of games with everything. They're trying to integrate all the platforms, but the messaging system, for instance, I can't get my messages from my phone. I have to be on a desktop. Don't know why. Won't let me log in to get them. So it's very difficult for me to get messages through Facebook and Instagram. I will get them, but they will just take me time, and I usually have to try to dig them out. So if you want to get to me, just send me a message on my website, and you know it'll get right to me. So that's what I got for that. All right. So Patty, yeah, I got to get a hold of you, because that would be awesome. I don't want that one. I want this one, because you want to see my nose. All right. Enzo, split window vet from the... Yes, that'd be a good one. So get your 543s in. Brother Robert, what is up? Patricia, what's happening? Enzo, if I did not say hello. Hello, Todd, what's going on? Patrick, what's happening? Gary Shees, what is up? Excellent. Ria, what's happening? Wayne Capiroso. Wayne, it's good to hear from you, man. Love it. All right, great, Patty. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, Patty, it's not you. It's the tech gods that, decide they know everything about everything, and they don't. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. I will catch you guys up. If you were here last week, it was a very exciting live feed. We painted a dipstick because that's all I was prepared to do. So here's the painting as it stands right now. Now you may notice something different. A lot of it is yellow, but it's not really yellow. What I've done is I've masked it off. I was going to show you this part, but it's not terribly exciting, and if I explain it to you, it'll just, you'll get it. One really nice thing about the way this painting is done is I have the HD stencil here, and as you can see through the, either KUTG Gold, or this is the same product by 3M. It's a real translucent tape, so you can kind of put it on and then you can see through it. It makes it real easy to cut along the edges. So that's essentially what I did. I ran the tape down, and then just like really carefully with a brand new X-Acto blade, I cut all the shapes out. And what I'm doing is I'm blocking everything off except the body. What I was going to do is I was going to start working on the body, and then we were just going to do the headlight tonight, but then I realized in this car the inset for the headlight is not like chrome or I guess chrome. It's actually color keyed to the body. It's red. So I'm like, well, in that case, let's just do the body. So what I've done is I blocked off all the areas that are lights. So they're either, the marker lights or the directional or the chrome, the actual chrome LEDs. In there, I've blocked off the motor, which is not done. I also realized when I was looking at this, I never finished the wheel. We did a lot of it, but that's not done yet either. So that's it. So again, that's how it works. You just kind of put the tape on there. Now, a real important thing, before I did any of that, I sprayed 3 coats of Autoborn Sealer 6000, which is the transparent sealer. I sprayed it, I let it dry, and then I, let it go, and then sprayed through 3 more coats, and then let it dry for 24 hours, cure for 24 hours. What that did is that really locked in all the painting I already did. So that when I pull this paint off, or tape off, I'm not going to pull paint off with it. That being said, right now in Ohio, it's super warm. It's like it was 95 degrees today and humid. In conditions like that, you really, really, really have to give the autoborne sealer extra time to cure. I can't stress that enough. I did not, so I am a little bit terrified when I go to pull the paint or tape off, because I gave it about 24 hours to cure, which is usually enough. But again, I always worry when I put tape on anything, so that's just me. That's probably not going to be a problem. I pretty much guarantee there won't be a problem, but that's what we got to worry about. So anyway, that's all done. So now we're ready to paint the body, and that's what we're going to do tonight. So let me switch over to the reference photo so you can kind of get a quick view of it. I'll explain a few things about it. Hello, everyone. Oh, and yes, because I am back in business, tonight's cheers, might as well fall off the being good train, is Skies Out, Thighs Out, which is a lovely pink lemonade sour from the Rusty Nail Brewing Company. And they're in Pennsylvania. They're in Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania, so the heart of Pennsylvania. So that's tonight's. It basically tastes like lemonade, but really sour lemonade. It's lovely. So that's tonight's, to make up for last week's Dr. Pepper shenanigans. Rick Lotta, hello. Raul, what's going on? CMOS 100% positive that separated Messenger from Facebook and its own standalone application. Yeah, that's exactly it. So yeah, it's called, they have Messenger and but the weird part about this, Pat, I have two accounts. I have my personal account and my pro account. My professional account and my Instagram page are both tied together. My personal account is not. So that's what I'm saying. It gets really weird when it comes to me getting messages. So basically, it's just, you know, more stupidity. I'm going to get you guys closer when we get into this, so don't worry about that. But I am going to show you real quick. I'm going to show you the reference photo real quick, because I want to, and it's important that you guys see it. So here's what the reference photo looks like. You can see that color keyed inset in the headlight. So that originally I thought that was all like chrome, but when I checked the photo, I'm like, oh hey, look at that. So there's a lot going on in this. You will notice right in the middle, right under the right above the marker light, there's those janky legs. That's me taking the photo. That is not going to be in the painting, but the gentlemen who are standing next to the car next to this Corvette, I'm going to leave them in. And the reason for that is this is a pretty uptight, or a pretty close uptight image of this car, and that gives you the sense of that car show. Plus there's that parking line, really bright parking line under the marker light on the side. I want to leave that in too. So in order to help the story make sense, I have to have some reflections of either another car or people or something. So that's why I'm going to leave those guys in. Sometimes I take them out, like in the Ford painting, the pickup painting, I took the dude with the sandals out. But this time I'm going to leave those guys in. I'm going to take me out with the shorts though, because no one needs to see that. All right, so that's what we got. The clouds stay in, all the reflections stay in. This car is bright red. You can see that in the right-hand side edge of the painting underneath the open hood. That's the actual color of the car, but this car reads as maroon because of the shadow. It's, you know, the front end is in the shadow, so it's really, really cool. It's going to be a fun painting, as well as the inset and the light. That's the base color of this car. It's that real red. I'm going to use Pyro red to kind of get away with that, and that's what we got. All right, so now you're caught up. So let's not do that. Let's do this while I adjust this camera. Say hello to more people. Hello, everyone. Ian, what's up? Mr. Garcia, cheers to you, sir. Hooray. If I missed anyone, hello. All right, let me, oh, I wasn't really thinking with this. I am going to have to change lenses, which is okay. That's fine. Everything's fine. You guys look at that view for a second while I change lenses on this camera, because the macro lens is great for up close, but not so great for this kind of stuff, because I can't get the whole thing in. Where the other lens I can get pretty close, but I can also zoom way out. So that's going to be ideal for that and that. So I hope you're all doing well. Hope your week is going well. I'm on the ball this week. I'm super happy. I got everything done. Time Lapse Tuesday is ready to rock. So if you are If you are a member on my YouTube channel, you've already seen the video. That's already been posted, but it'll go live tomorrow, so you get to watch the Callaway painting come together. And then I have Open Studio all ready to go as well, which I'm super excited about. That's the Tokyo painting, so that's ready to go. And I'm happy. I'm all up in it, so that's good. Much better. Let's focus that. And we'll be ready to rock. Okay, so the HD stencil is great. I talked a little bit about this last week. I kind of blew it with this though, because I used it twice without cleaning it. So the image is not very clear. Normally this would be super, super sharp. I'd be able to pick everything out of this, which would have made this a lot easier, but I was a dumbass, and that's fine. You pay for it, and that's what's gonna happen. But I can still see enough of it to get it done, and I have photocopies, so we're just going to start picking through this. So the big question is how the heck do you tackle this? And I'm going to show you, see if this will work, so I don't have to keep switching back and forth. But there's my reference photo. No, let's just jump back to the real reference photo, because you guys got to see it in real time. So it'll only take a second. So you notice a lot of different things going on here. Again, the actual color of the car is at the bottom of the headlight inside that little, the bezel there, and it's also in the front, right on the right-hand side underneath the open hood. That's the base color of the car. But you also notice above the headlight you have that blue reflecting from the sky. You also notice down near the corner where the wheel well is, you see a lot of the gravel texture in there too. Which changes the color. The very front of the car, the nose of the car, has that maroon color to it. So we got to kind of take all that into consideration. So I can't just spray this all red and hope for the best. I got to pick and choose things. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to see how far we can get, and it's going to be fun, right? Heck yeah, it's going to be fun. Honey, what is up? Yay. Natesh, what's going on? Yeah, there we go. Get those 543 suggestions in. We only have 6 people on the list tonight. We had a lot of people on the list, but only 6 people are eligible. So that's fun. So chances are pretty good right now. If you get in right now, I want to just make sure this is totally focused. Again, it's going to seem like it might not be focused, because the HD stencil is a bit blurry because of again, my mishandling, but yeah, it's going to work. All right, so I've got my reference. You can kind of see it off to the side there. So the way I'm going to kind of deal with this, again, there are those multiple things going on here, but red is basically the color, right? So I'm going to start with that, where it's like brightest red. And for that, I think I'm going to use the Eclipse, because I'm going to want to kind of get this kind of buttoned or dialed in pretty quick. Brian Moore isn't here, I don't think, but he asked a great question, and it was about covering pencil lines or marker lines. When you do a drawing and then you want to paint it, you've seen a lot of artists, and they, if they use pencil, they then, and I do it too, you like erase those pencil lines. I do that especially on a portrait. I don't want to see those lines, or I don't want to really have to cover them. This one here, obviously I have to cover all this HD stencil. None of it can be there when I'm done. So this is a great example of what to do when it's too dark. It's a different kind of mindset, but I love the outcome better, because it forces you to put paint on this thing. If all these were like really just like a light outline, I'd have the kind of the tendency to like maybe put the paint on kind of light, because the light paint covers the light pencil lines. But this I'm really going to have to put a lot of paint on, and then as a result it's going to look really solid. So I like it. Mike Stevenson, what is up? Yeah, Chris, unfortunately I told the story last week. I sprayed this, it looked great. I forget what happened originally, but I had to redo it, so I resprayed the surface white, and then without cleaning the HD stencil, it had time to dry a little bit, so when I resprayed it, it came out really blurry. So don't think that this is what HD stencils normally look like. All right, again, for this car, I'm going to use Pyrrole Red because I love it. So I'm just going to take a little bit of Pyrrole Red, and I'm just going to add some, it is really thick, so I'm going to add some reducer and a little bit of the 4050 to it. And this is just to kind of thin it out, but keep its body a little bit. Oh, I love this color so much. I know, honey, I feel the same way. It's like, oh, did I miss anyone? I hope not. If I miss saying hello to you, please let me know. All right. Red, 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 red. All right, so this is in your face red right now. I want to check one thing while we're doing this, because I did notice a slight. Nah, honey. 20 minutes in. Love you, honey. I just saw that. Good. All right, so red. So I know this part here is red, red. Basically, if you look at the HU stencil, anything, sorry about my big fat head in the way. Basically, anything that's white is going to be this pure red, which is nice. So I can start with that. The good news is, if I get this in other places, obviously it's not going to make a huge difference. Like this part here is decidedly more maroon. So, you know, if I get paint down there, which I will, it's not a disaster. I just don't want to get so much paint down there that I can't see what I'm doing. If that does happen, though, it's not a big deal because I have photocopies of all this stuff. So essentially I can, and I will, I'll treat this like I would normally treat a painting. Now there are highlights in here and all kinds of other fun stuff that I'm ignoring right now because I'm just kind of going for that underpainting. Anywhere where that red really pops up. I'm not going for total coverage. I'm just kind of playing with these shapes and starting to build up that color. I'm also not worried there are those great little, you know, detail lines. You know, I'd love to be able to keep them, but the color is more important than the detail right now. And it's a tough thing because, you know, like you see those details, you're like, I don't want to cover them because I want to be able to use them later. And it, you know, it slows you down a little bit. The edge of this headlight is bright. If you have any questions, I'm going to put my head in the way because I got to see the... Ah, thank you, honey. Yes, please hit that like button. And if you share it, I'll love you even more. But only share it to people you think would like it because no one likes that. All right, again, this part under the hood is bright red, so I know I can really hit that well. And this area here has the blue in it, but basically it's the same kind of red feel, so I can start knocking in some of that red as well. Nothing crazy, really. Look at all your 543 suggestions. I love it. Yeah, I will definitely get back to doing at least 3 543s. I still plan on having some sort of show with the 543s, and if I do that, I'm going to have to up my game a little bit for a little while and get back to doing 5 of them. So that's all coming as soon as I can get through, you know, the stuff that's going on. Again, I got all this nice details with the clouds in here. I'd love to keep them, but I'm not too worried about them. Yeah, so it went from like winter to summer here. We had tons of rain, and then all of a sudden it's like 100 degrees. So you can hear the air conditioner humming in the background, struggling to keep up. Then thank you, Patrick. Yes, please do. All right, so that's pretty much the first pass with this red. Now what I can do is I can kind of deal with the other stuff here. Actually, you can't see that, so I'm going to move it so I don't get paint all over. But don't forget, Summer 25. Go buy your stuff. So now what I can do is I can start, again, this down here, all this stuff is going to be that cool maroon. See, if I'm thinking about spraying a gold metallic and then spraying orange over top, will that work? Michael. Yeah, yeah, it'll give you that candy effect. But the thing is orange. I mean, to come out the best, it needs to be candy orange, just like a car. You know, just like you would normally do a car. Do I have any? Right here. I don't see my orange. Yeah, it would ideally come out best with Candy 2.0. But yeah, that'll work. The other thing Ian's on, and I missed this last week, I missed the comment, but Ian got his new Infinity and it forced him to finish a painting, which I love. So that's great, Ian. But yeah, Michael, I mean, it depends on the project, I guess, but if it's something you can get away with using the candies with, that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. The other thing I like about doing stuff like that, I'm not going to do down here yet because I got other plans for that. Yeah, the other thing I really love doing with that kind of stuff, if you can get away with it, is, you know, that painting is going to be something that can't be reproduced. You know what I mean? So if you do a painting with actual metallic and candy, they'll never get a good photo of it. It'll look amazing live, and that will give it, you know, all of its live appeal. You know what I'm saying? So I love doing that. It just gives, you know, it gives the real painting something more than could ever be seen in a, you know, like an online reproduction or a print reproduction or anything like that. So hopefully get a chance to do that. Oh, good. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch the feed, Michael, but I'm going to catch up on that. Yeah, that car is amazing. Yeah, you could definitely do that. The one thing you want to be careful of, though, when you do that is the candies bleed. So you're going to have to use bleed checker before you put on the highlights. And then the other thing is the highlights themselves. If you put white highlights, dull, basically matte white highlights on a metallic painting, it's going to look good straight on, but if you tilt that at an angle, those highlights are going to turn like dark gray. So keep that in mind too. I would say, you know, do some test panels with it to see what I'm talking about. But yeah, what I would do normally in a situation like that is I would do it, but I would avoid any white highlights on the actual, you know, candy. So if you're doing, like, if it has chrome wheels, which I think it does, I would paint the chrome wheels like I would normally paint everything, because it'd be a bunch of highlights on that. But I would really, really try to avoid putting any white highlights on the car itself. All right, so now I'm just kind of going over the rest of the area. Again, you know, I'm not going for full coverage. I'm just kind of like getting that first layer of paint, except down in here. I'll show you why when we get there. And there I go. I just ran out of paint. So that's a good time to stop doing that. Probably could have used a little bit more there. Been at it a while, but forgotten about it. Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I like that brush. This is a cool little brush. I definitely got to do David Naylor's trick with the hot glue on the top, because it does a number on my finger because I'm a brute and I push down too hard. So yeah. All right, so this area that I was kind of putting off, you're going to see a reference for this to know what I'm talking about. So before I do this, so basically all these are some form of red. The maroon is down here, the bright red's up here, which I got to hit again in a few minutes, but basically you get the idea. All that, the maroon and all that. But basically it's red. But down here, something different goes on, and I'll show you that one more time. Oh, it's all set up because, hey, why not? If you notice that bottom corner, see how dark that is, and then the asphalt is really tan colored. So while it does have a lot of that maroon in it, that tan color is really predominant. So that's the color I'm going to put in as the base there. And then I'll build in all the maroon around it. I don't know if I'll get to that tonight, but if we do, it'll make more sense when you see it this way. So do I want to do that with another brush? Because I don't want to, yeah, because I got red in this. I'm going to be jumping back to red anyway. So we'll put the tan in one of the other brushes. Dan, what's going on? Dan, I got your frame out today. I love that story, man. That's perfect. And then Pat, I told you, I did the same thing. So I love that story too. All right, I still got brown out on the palette. You guys can't see it, but I don't know if it's, I'm gonna leave the palette cam off for a bit. So I just got a little bit of brown. I put it in the white. And this asphalt is kind of yellow. So I'm gonna add a little bit of golden yellow to this too. And I want this kind of, it's actually kind of a yellowish jaundice skin color. Lovely, right? Damn, that was so good. Oh boy. All right. So same deal here. You know, I don't have to go nuts here. I just have to kind of get it started and get this as the base color in. I don't even care. Like, I'm going to go over where it is, meaning, you know, I'm going to spread that out a little bit farther than it really should be. But all that's going to be like taken care of when I get the details in of that asphalt. But here's the deal with this, and this is really the reason why I'm doing this. I'm letting this dry now with the air. It's so much easier to put that dark maroon over this tan color than the opposite, because we all know what happens if you've been watching anyone airbrush for any length of time. If you put a light color over a warm color, white over, like, you know, reds or oranges, you get blue shift. It turns blue. And I don't want to deal with that. So the way I can get around it is by painting the tan first and then painting the maroon in around it, and then I won't get any blue shift. It'll stay that tan color. So that's why I do it. Hoorah! Who's that? Navy SEAL Trident, that's awesome. Halfway to showtime. And honey, look, I'm actually painting stuff before showtime. I know, you guys are impressed. All right, so that's good. Now, before I run from this one, I want to make sure this doesn't happen anywhere else, and it does. It happens a little bit up here. There's some reflection of the asphalt up here and along the wheel well right here. So another quick personal note about this painting. This one and the other one, the Ford pickup painting, the little one, these mean a lot to me because this cruise day, it was like a, you know, just like a regular, like there's a dairy, and they have a you know, like a cruise day where people just kind of bring their cool cars and they load up the parking lot and eat ice cream and stuff. So this was the last cruise day or car event that I went with my dad. So I took a bunch of these pictures. We looked at a bunch of these cars. So this one and the Ford painting, whenever I look at them, I think of him too. So that's makes it a kind of a special painting. Splatter technique in the asphalt? No, I don't think so. And that's a great question. So that splatter technique Michael's talking about is turning the airbrush down really low and it spatters. The asphalt here is pretty close to the car. It's pretty big. I don't know if you can see it through the tape. So I'm going to have to do that with a paintbrush to get that to work because it's too big. And plus, there's a bit of perspective here. It's like really kind of in focus right here, but then it kind of gets softer up here. So I'm going to have to get that in as well. And then in the car itself, it's got direction. As it curls around the front of the car, it warps the reflection of the asphalt. So I got to, you know, that's easier to do with the paintbrush and try to control it with the splatter technique. But yeah, on a smaller scale, that would have been great. I could have used that. All right. What am I looking for? What am I looking for? I don't know. What goes there? I know what I'm looking for, the red one. So I'm going to load red up again, and we're going to hit this again because I've given this now time to dry. Did I mention that I sanded this? I don't think I did. Sorry. After I did the 6000, after it cured, this thing was shiny, like glossy. It was great. So what I did was just like the 543s, I hit the whole thing with 600 sandpaper, really gently, especially around the edges, in case I didn't put enough on. But I hit the whole thing with 600, and then I hit the whole thing with Scotch-Brite pad, and it basically was like back to new. Patty, have a great night. You're awesome. All right, so more red, more of the red. I got to order more red. The other thing that happened this week that I wasn't prepared for is that I ran out of mats for the 543s. I thought I had another whole block, and I think I do somewhere because I have a bunch of the backing cards, but not a whole lot of the actual cut mats, which is really weird because even when I frame them, I use the backing cards. So I shouldn't have extra backing cards, or I shouldn't have a lot of extra backing cards. So the place I get them from loves me because I order a ton of them, as you could probably imagine. I was cutting them myself, but I'm like, nope. Tony D! What's up, Tony? Roy, if I did not say hello. Hello, Roy Johnson. What is up, my man? All right, back to red. So this is back to that pure red. So I'm going to now go over what I kind of went over before. Again, you know, I'd love to be able to save some of this, but the reality is I just got to cover it. You know, I need to know that where it's really red, it's going to be red. This is, hi everyone. This is opaque pyro. I'm really trying hard to keep my head out of there. This is opaque pyro red. So it is opaque, but again, with the 4050 in it and the reducer, it's going to go on fairly transparently, but it will eventually cover. So again, got to keep that in mind. I definitely don't want to hose this thing down. You know, I don't want to just nail it like I did there. Let it build up slowly, because the HD stencil will show up through it even, you know, once I get close to the target, you know, like the saturation color. And that's great. It'll help me when I go to put the photocopies on. It'll help me to line them up. What else did I miss? Must be really hot because I keep wanting ice cream. Oh my gosh, honey, no kidding. I've been doing really, really good. Like, I have 2 weddings coming up in the fall, and I'm really trying to like not be a, you know, human tank for them. So I cut way back on the things I love so much, like pasta and bread and beer, and it's working. However, it hurts because I really want ice cream. But the dog was happy, so that's good. So we're almost at saturation here, but I can still see those little detail lines, which is absolutely stunning. That's good news. It's just, like I said, it's just going to make it a whole lot easier to kind of, you know, figure out where things are going. I said hi to Gary, right? Gary Shees, what's up? I believe bread and pasta, but I know, Gary, I know. Sucks as I sit here and drink a beer, but I've been really good. Whenever I need to lose weight, that's the first thing to go, unfortunately. Because it's the easiest one for me. You know, I don't really eat a whole lot of sweets. But man, beer is like a loaf of bread in a can, and that's rough. Now that I've got, basically, I got to hit these again up here. But now that I've got that, I can start working more towards the maroon areas. And the nice thing about this underpainting, and that's really all this is, by setting up all this red, when I need to go to switch to this maroon and paint in the maroon, I really only have to tint that color that's already there. It's lovely. So instead of having to mix up a maroon, like a specific maroon, I've already got the, you know, kind of the base already in there. This area right here on the marker light is almost black, because I think the car next to it was black. So that's going to be really easy. Again, I just got to kind of go over it a few times and make sure that I've got enough red on it. HD cents I don't do enough good. Yeah, Michael, they're great. I love them. And I think I mentioned it before. There is a huge painting show exhibit in, believe it or not, in Ashtabula, right here in Ohio. So every year, every summertime, they have this show, the Paul and Norma Tikkanen show. I think that's how you pronounce their last name. Paul was a painter in the area, and when he passed, he wanted to make sure that this area, oh, I ran out of paint again. I'm going to get more red. He wanted to make sure that painting was still an important part of this area of Ohio and Western Pennsylvania. So his endowment created this show, and it's a huge honor to get into it. It's an extremely difficult show to get into, and it's my first kind of shot at it. So I got my entries in. You can only enter 2 pieces. It's only a painting show, so there are only paintings in it, and they either have to be realistic or abstract. There's a separate prize for each discipline. So obviously my stuff is not the abstract stuff. So I entered. So I'll find out. The first round of jurying closes on the 19th of July or 18th of July, and then after that, if you get through that round, you actually bring your paintings to the Ashtabula Art Center, and then they're judged in person. And then if you make it by that round, you get in the show. And they do the jurying for the awards after that. So again, it's like anything, like getting in that show is the prize itself. However, winning one of the prizes for real would be outrageous, because they have a very large endowment for the prizes. So again, and you know what? Yeah, the prize money is big, but what that does is it causes a lot of people to enter, really good artists. So it becomes extremely competitive, which is wonderful. It brings out the best, and I love that. All right. What else we got? Look at all the 543 suggestions. I love it. What am I missing? Okay, good. You guys are talking. Great. The hood's easy, because the hood's really, you got a reflection here from the light. If I move that, it'll disappear. The hood's like this really dark, like almost black. So that's really easy. But I do want to have an underpainting of red there, because even though that's almost black, if I just painted it with like a dark color, it's going to feel different than the rest of the car, because it doesn't have that same base on it. You know what I'm saying? So if I start out with the same underpainting on it, I'll be in really, really good shape when I go to actually paint it. And for those who are wondering, what I'm setting myself up for when I finish the whole body of the car, which is what I'll do next before I go back to the motor and the wheel, there's a good chance I'll have to mask a lot of this body off when I go to do this stuff. I might be able to get away with not masking everything off, but certainly the motor, I'm going to have to really make sure I don't get paint on the body. So it can be weird. Brad Mummery, what's up, Brad? Yeah, I made it through a little bit of Tim's feed last week. I was looking forward to watching it, and I had everything set up on my computer, which has I have a big monitor, so I was hanging out watching Tim's feed, and then because again we're in Ohio, we went from like a bajillion degrees to like massive thunderstorms in like the span of like 5 seconds. So I was worried about blowing up my computer, so I ended up bailing out. But I'm going to try to get in there. I'm going to try to get in there this week again. And Scott, he also had his second feed after mine last week too, which I also missed. I saw a little bit of it, but I wasn't able to hang around. So I'm going to try to be better. And then again, Michael, hopefully, the weekends have been nuts here, but hopefully I'll be able to get back into sanity and be able to watch a little bit of your feeds on the weekends. I love them. All right, I especially want this guy here, this stretch right here, and this whole area here to be that like full-on red. The other stuff, it's okay if it doesn't get all the way to red, because I'm going to be modifying that like crazy anyway. But those areas there, once I finish them, they're going to be done. As far as the base color, there isn't going to really be anything that will go on top of that other than highlights and stuff. So I really want to make sure those areas have the full amount of paint. Again, the hood up here, there's going to be so much other stuff going on that I don't have to get that to saturation for Pyro Red. That's okay, Steve. I've been missing a lot of the feeds myself. I'm just tired in the evenings. Yeah, no kidding, Michael. I know. But you know what's great too? I love, that's what I love about YouTube and making the switch over to YouTube. The videos are always there. The live streams, if people upload them, you know, I save all mine, and I know Michael does too, and Tim does, and Scott does, as well as, you know, I think everyone. You can go back and watch them anytime you want, and I love that. This area up here has a lot of highlights and, you know, stuff in it, so it's really just, you know, the areas right above the lights that need to be kind of taken care of. And this area here above the bezel is blue, so from the sky. So I think that's good. I think that's good. What I want to do is I want to try to get into a spot that has some detail in it, and I'll show you kind of how I tackle that. Oh, it's brown. Oh my gosh, this is going to be such a fun painting. The other painting that I have that I showed you last week, there's one of the ones I entered in Ashtabula. It's the Albers fender painting, and this has some of that going on with it too, meaning we know the car is red, right? But the colors that are going to go in this are crazy. They're everything but red. There's brown and there's maroon and purple and black and blue and all these other colors. But in the end, when you look at this painting, you're not going to see that. You're just going to say, hey, that's a red car. And that's the beautiful thing about how we perceive and understand color. We just, you know, the brain puts it together. And it's the most fun about being an artist is to be able to pull off that illusion that it makes it look like what it's supposed to be, but it has all that other weird stuff going on. Yeah, you guys are going. Okay. So what do I want to do here? Do I want to do mess around with the light? I think messing around locally with the light is going to be better because I can zoom you guys in and you guys can start getting some of the, you know, the finer points of what's going on. And there's less subtlety in the lights, which I think is important for the demo. Down here, there's a lot of subtlety. Like in here, this is almost like a brown color right here. And then that fades into this dark color, which ends up, you know, repeating the brown color, and then moves into the maroon and all this other fun stuff, and then the texture down here. There's a lot going on in this front fender. But the light is a little bit less insane. So I think what we'll do is we'll move the camera closer, and then we'll do that. And we still got time. Holy crap, I'm actually doing good things. So the nice thing about this camera, or this lens, is I can kind of move in close. That's not gonna work. I was gonna say I kind of move in close without having to do too much shenanigans, but that did not work out the way I had envisioned it. So I'll do it here. And then I will do this here. I can't see it. I'm gonna have to do this. Yeah, a lot of red going on there, a lot of red. All right. Blocking in the main color. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, so blocking in is a good way to do it. From an artist standpoint, that's the underpainting, you know. And it's what sets everything up. It's something I did not do when I started, and it showed. You know, a lot of my paintings had a transparency that wasn't intentional, and that's the thing. You know, if you look at a watercolors are supposed to be, I'll switch to this one. Watercolors are supposed to be transparent. Sorry about this, but you know, you're supposed to be able to see the paper through it. The transparency is what gives it its look, its novelty, and you want that. But for me, with the way I want to work, I don't want that type of transparency. If it's going to be transparent, it's because it was meant to be transparent. So having this underpainting forces me to kind of get away from that, and that's been a really good thing, you know, along the way. That happened a while ago for me. Like, I realized that my paintings all look washed out, and they never look finished, and that was a big thing. That was one of the reasons why, because I was doing this huge, you know, line drawing and then painting it in like a color by numbers, you know. So this is a better way to do it for me. All right. Who dat? Timothy John Luke Smith. What's up? Kelly Drake. Hello, Kelly Drake. What is up? All right. What do I want to mess with? I want to do like a maroon. Now here's the trick with this. I'm going to jump back to this one. So that maroon, that brownish maroon I was talking about, is going to appear in a lot of places in this car. So normally what I would do is I would, you know, take ye old airbrush mix up that maroon color, and then just go to town here. But I'm going to be using this maroon color a lot, and I don't want to have to, one, keep mixing it, and two, have to remember what I did when I mixed it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you guys on hold for a second. I'm going to grab a small 1 ounce bottle so I can mix up some of this maroon so I don't have to keep remixing it. Fortunately, all that stuff is right here. I've shown this on Tech Tuesday, but I'll show you guys too because it's fun. By the way, Gary, thank you for my shirt. Again, if you haven't seen it. Yay! Things you don't know you do. There you go. Oh boy. All right, so let's go to this one. So here's a 1 ounce bottle. These came from a company called Boston Plastic. I just got them on Amazon. You don't have to get them solvent resistant if you use Createx, but these are, as I drop it. So I like the 1 ounce ones, and they come with the cool ketchup glue, cap. And then what I did was I'll switch back to this one, is I bought 1,000 of these glass beads. These are actually slingshot ammo. So it was like 1,000 of them from like $18 or something stupid like that. They make excellent mixing bowls because they, the metal ones will rust, so you don't want that. So you just take the glass ball, drop it in there, and now you're ready to rock and roll. Which one camera? I'll do this one. And I do this all the time. See, here is the, this one's called Hard Boiled Yolk. This was one of my test colors for the cue ball, which didn't come out really well. Here is the actual, this is actually the cue ball color base. So again, and what's nice is you'll see, when I mix this up, these last as long as Createx does, because I don't put reducer in these. I just leave the actual color. All right, so we know we're gonna start with red. Pyro red. Now I might reduce this because this is probably the only color I'm gonna use this for, this painting. So let's give me about, I don't know, 1/8 of an ounce. That should be more than enough of the red. Now, it's brown. It has a brown cast to it, so that makes it super easy because I know that the opaque black gives a brown cast. So I'm going to start off with, say, you know what, I think I am going to reduce this. I'm going to start off with 1 drop of black. This whole thing is not science. This is more experience. Because I use these colors so much, I kind of have a feeling of what they do. But feel free to not do this. You can also mix them up with a small paintbrush on a piece of paper. Figure out the rough ratios before you actually start committing to putting paint in a bottle, and you'll save a bunch of paint. You know what I mean? You don't have to have it exact. Just have like some whatever paper you normally use. And then grab like a full drop of red and then put a tiny touch of black and see what it does. And it'll give you a good reference, close. So we're gonna mix this up without reducer first to see what it looks like. It's got some brown in it too. Yeah, I'm gonna reduce this because I am gonna just use this on this painting. But there it is right now, which is a little bit darker than the red, but not great. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 40-50 and yeah, I'll keep it kind of on the thick side. So this is 1 part 40-50, and even though it says 40-11, it's not. It's 40-21. I've swapped them out. So we're going to add a bunch of this to it too. This will loosen it up a little bit right out of the gate, but because it has so much 40-50 and not a whole bunch of reducer, even if you put reducer in it, it'll last a long time. It just separates out really fast. Now when I shake it, I should get a much better feel for what this is. I'm keeping an eye on the time before Honey yells at me, which she does a good job at keeping me straight. Yeah, that's nowhere near enough black. But I'd rather do it this way than have it be too dark, because then I'd be screwed, because then I just have to dump it out and add a bunch more red to it. So I'm going to put in, this time I'm going to put in 2 drops of black since I added so much other stuff. And this should be close. I also want to check to make sure that I'm in the right ballpark with this. You're still good, thanks. Oh wow, 6 minutes? Holy crow. It's like I know what I'm doing. Oh, this is much better, okay. Now, there's a little bit of black there. I want to make sure that that's well mixed. So I'll just turn that side down so that the mixing ball is running up and down on that side. I know this is probably not the most exciting thing you've done all day is watch someone mix paint, but it's worth it. See what we got. Oh, that's stunning. That's perfect. All right, so again, what would have happened if I added too much black to this? So here's what I would do. There's a good chance that I would use a darker version of this anyway in this painting. So what I would do is I would get another mixing bottle, put like maybe half of this color into the other one, and then add a bunch of red to it. That would bring it back from where it was, or maybe even a quarter of this, you know, and then you know, like 3/4 red. That would bring it back up to the lighter value, and now I'd have 2 bottles. You know, I would not add red to this because you could just add a ton of red to this, and it will just take a long time and a lot of paint to get it back up. You want to reduce the amount of black, and the way you do that is by splitting it off. But this is perfect. All right, so that, before I get too far, I'm going to make a note of what this is, because if I don't, later on, I won't have any idea. And of course, I use my marker from this bench on my workbench, and that's bad, because now I don't have a marker. Well, I do. I'll use this one. So what I do is, just because I don't want to be a dummy about it, this is P red, hot black. I don't even put like, I mean, you could put like, you know, whatever, 1/8 of an ounce and then a couple drops of black if you wanted to, but it doesn't really matter to me. And then the last thing is 40-50 and 40-21, but I do want to make a note of this, so it's 2-to-1. So that way I know that this is really not reduced. I mean, it is, but it's not really. It's still pretty thick, so I'm going to have to add reducer to that. All right, what happened to your bottle mixing shade? honey, funny story about that. That's right, it is here. It's right here. See it right there? But if you notice in the back, there's like a power strip that actually goes all the way along the back of the wall of my little, you know, Visionaire thing. There aren't enough plugs in it. So if I were to unplug one of the plugs to put the mixer in, the palette cam would go out. It's the only one that would fit. I didn't have enough, you know. So that's why I'm not using that. But yes, that would have been amazing if I could have used that. All right, back to it. What's that? Oh, is that a scratch? Did I scratch that? What could go wrong? That's a bummer. What did I hit that with? Did I hit that? You guys are watching the whole time. I'm going to have to go back and watch the tape again. If I hit that? Lies, I tell you. All right. Well, we'll fix that. Not a big deal. Oh, there's a big highlight right there too. Yay! That's good because eventually there's a really bright highlight that comes across here. But I'm not going to take the chance that it's going to hang around. So again, good news is what that part there is all Pyro red. So I'm going to take a bit of Pyro red on a paintbrush and just go in here and make that go away. Take the curse off. That's just lovely. All gone. That is, I know, right? What could go wrong? And yes, that is lucky. Let that dry. That's good. All right, so now I've got this dark brown. Let me jump back to the reference photo so you guys can see it real quick. So see all the dark areas that are around those LED lights? That's what we're going to be doing. Now you notice how dark those are. But we're going to use this kind of brownish color to start. It's going to be the same deal here. I'm going to build up to that dark color, because that'll give me a lot of volume as I'm painting, and it'll make the color very interesting in the end. As the light passes through all that, you know, it isn't just hitting, you know, like a black and then coming back up. It's got all kinds of other fun stuff going on there. So that's what we're doing. Oh, it's time, isn't it, honey? 1 minute. I'm going to leave everything where it is. We're just going to do the giveaway real quick, and then we're going to jump back in because I do want to get to some of the darker areas so you can see, you know, how this is going to go. If you had asked me if I was going to be working on this painting before last week, I would have said this is going to be like a next year thing. So thank you all for getting on me last week. That's great. That's great. All right. Let me make sure that I've got this part right. Actually, I'll switch you to this now. I think there are 6 people. I could be wrong. It has happened before. Often. Yep. Oh, no, there's 7. I was wrong. Let's switch back to this one. Here are your 7. So that's Steve, Grumpy, Wayne, Ian, James, Tony D, and Mr. Sean from London Pen. All right, so those are our, did I do that right? Yeah, that's right. All right, so there we go. So that's our group for tonight. I'm going to change this to 7 so that London Pen can actually win. And your winner tonight is number 5. Who remembers who it was? I don't. James Cully. Ian, you were so freaking close. Grumpy. Grumpy, make a suggestion. Make sure you're in. Grumpy, you will get a painting. You will get a painting. So congratulations, James. James got it. So James, I didn't see you on, but if you are, you may pick a painting or you know what to do. You got it. All right. Yes. Grumpy, make sure your 543 is in. Ian, make sure your 543 is in. All right, we're going to get right back to it. If James jumps on, we'll let him know. All right, so again, you guys saw it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start kind of, and I can see kind of where the HD stencil is already, but I've also got, which let's do this. Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of this because I don't want to do too much of it because it'll take up too much time. But say I wanted to like get a feel for where like really some of those shadows are falling. You can kind of see them, see the light halo of them. I can actually see them better than even you guys because it's a little bit overexposed right now, so you guys can see what's going on. But because I am prepared today and I don't suck as much as I did last week, I made photocopies of what I needed today. So now with the photocopy, you can really see what's going on. So for instance, say I want this shadow right here. I can make my life easy and just cut that out. So don't forget, the bezel for the actual headlight is still masked off, which is great. So I don't have to worry about even, you know, cutting that out or putting that on or holding it in place or blah, 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 anything like that. So I'm just going to cut the general shape. I don't even have to, I should be as accurate as possible, but I don't have to be super accurate. I'm just looking for something to get me going. Now let's concentrate on this middle light first, and that way you kind of see how it works. That's intentional postage. Grumpy, I just sent Steve Parsons out today. That went to Australia, so come on, man. I love sending my internationals out. The post office, we have a running joke. Whenever they see me, they run because the post office doesn't like to do internationals because there's a lot of typing that's involved. But they do it, and they're awesome. So yes, I love, especially, I mean, Europe is easy. All right, so now you see this lines, because I'm using the same file that I used when I sent in HD Stencil, this photocopy lines exactly up because it's exactly the same thing. So I can just do a quick double check, down on different spots to make sure things are lined up correctly. And then again with this, because it's on an ampersand board, I got to use a jumbo magnet to kind of hold it in place. But again, this is really just a place marker. This isn't like, Mr. Crazy stencil template thing. It's just designed to kind of get me in the right spot. Bobby, what's up, brother? I need that cover. You have everything exact enough the wood piece. Oh, Michael, yeah, I turned this, or this was turned. So I got to make more of these. It's my favorite. I do have a bunch of blanks that I have, and I've talked to I talked to London Pen about eventually getting a lathe here, which would be exciting because I've always wanted to do that. That's always been something on the list. I had took as part of one of my basic classes in art school, we had to take a 3D class, but it was in wood. So they had an excellent program for, like super custom furniture makers and things like that. It was basically art. Hey, you know what? This isn't dark enough. So I just put that color we made in here and it's not dark enough, which is okay. We're gonna try it and see what it does and then we'll modify it from here. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lightly go over this, and I know it's not gonna be dark enough, so we'll just hit this once and see what it looks like. And again, this is really just a place marker for what's coming next. There we go. Now when I pull this, you'll see it's not, actually, you know what? I'm gonna hit it again. I'm gonna go for a little bit more saturation on this so I can really see it. But you're gonna see when I pull this, it's not crazy. It's not crazy difference. I mean, it's there, but it's not crazy. But that's still good. If it's buildable, it may darken just enough. Yeah, exactly, honey. That's exactly what we're looking for. Ryan, what's up, brother? All right. So we'll use this color for a little while and see what happens. All right, so the other area too is this nice fade that's right on this side, but I can use the same template for that. So see that nice little fade in that scoop? I can use the same template for that because, again, I'm just using this as a guide, not really as a final. Well, this one might be final because of the edge on it, but it doesn't have to be. You know what I'm saying? It could just be a freehand guide when I'm done. And that's a lot of the stuff on the side, the reflections in the car are just that. Like I'll use the cutout to kind of place them and then I'll freehand them because they're, a little bit blurry. They're reflections. There's a little bit of orange peel in this car. I'm sure the owner loves to hear that, but there is, and so that's going to be something that kind of goes along with it as well. So yeah, again, it's a guide. So now I definitely want the top part of this and I want to fade that down. Again, really light strokes, let it dry in between, especially in this kind of weather. This paint takes its time, Even this, this is going to be a nice hard edge, but ultimately it doesn't have a hard edge because this little bit rolls over a little bit, so it's soft. But here's what it looks like. So it starts out right away, Again, let me jump back to this real quick. This is what we're dealing with. You see where we're looking right there in the middle. See how dark that is? It needs to get down there, and plus all the reflections and all that fun stuff. There's a lot going on in this, but it's fine. Everything's fine, considering the owner probably paid to not have orange peel. It's funny. Oh yeah, it happens a lot, and it's fine. It's good. It's fine. I would obviously it's like anything. You walk up to someone's car. It's a beautiful car. He was definitely driving this car. This wasn't a a show car by any stretch. He was driving it around, but he had done a lot to it. So it is what it is. All right, so now that the base is set here, actually I should have done it on the side because it kind of fades in on the other side too. So I'll get that in too. So let me line that back up and do the bottom part, just this bottom corner here. This is still just a standard Iwata Eclipse CS. It just works really nice with a little bit thicker paint, even for these, tighter, almost detail-like stuff. I had a buddy who had an old Bel Air, and he was all sorts of anal about the orange peel in his paint. Wasn't going to point it out. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I never, unless someone's being a jerk. But that rarely happens, Most people are cool. All right, this part here, this part I did originally is really dark, so, but I like this. I like this scoop. It came out nice, and I think it's pretty close to where it needs to be. It's a little bit darker on this side before it gets really dark, before I put the black in. The other thing to remember, and like I said, this edge over here to the right-hand side, this rolls over a little bit. This is it's not like a 90-degree edge. It's kind of rolled over. So I'm going to start doing that just with the airbrush and rolling along that edge as it comes down, and that'll soften that up a little bit. And again, we talk about the difference between paintbrush and airbrush. The airbrush just does some things really well, like that. But to get an edge like this, the airbrush without help does not do. Like if I were to say, I'm going to do this whole thing with freehand airbrush, it's not going to be the same painting. There's also hairs on this tape. What I mean is, like I was careful not to push too hard on this tape when I was cutting it, so it ripped a little bit. So there's like frayed edges or little bits of tape. And I don't want to deal with those when I pull the mask off. So we're going to get those off now. And that's okay. That's totally okay. I would much, much rather deal with those little frayed edges on the mask than to deal with cutting too deep into the surface of the board, which I have done that as well. Honey, have a great night. Thank you, honey, for all you do. You're amazing. There we go. So you see that little white speck right there? That when I pull that off, that would have been there. On something like that, that's going to be easy because the rim of this is chrome and it's going to be blue and white anyway. But still, I don't want to deal with it if I don't have to. All right, same thing up here. This top edge is also nice and soft and rolled over. My goal now, seeing the progress for tonight, if I can get this little section done right here for you or close, that'll make me happy. You guys will get a good idea of where it's going. Now again, there's so much complexity in this little guy, but in the end of it, I don't want anyone to really. I mean, yeah, if you're looking at it and you're you're an artist or whatever, and you pick up on all that, that's great. But what I want someone to see at the end of it is just a red car. It's a red Corvette. That's really what I want people to pick up on. And that involves, me pulling off the illusion, getting all those different colors and reflections in the right way so that when people look at this, all they see is the Corvette. Then I know I won. All right, that's really good. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to get up into here, although this part here fades as well. Maybe I'll just take the curse off that for now too. But what's going on the top of this is a whole other animal too. There's reflections from the headlight bezel, and there's blue and all kinds of other stuff. We're not going to do that tonight. All right, so let me get into the black now. So at this point, I've got the red underpainting. I've got this kind of really dark, brownish, maroonish color in here. And now I can start with tightening this up. Now normally what I would do is I would take this color and do as much as I could in one sitting. I wouldn't immediately switch to the black like I'm about to do, because you run the risk of having like this one look different than this one. You know what I mean? If I finish this one completely and then move on. Me anyway. Some people don't have that problem, but I do. Now last week I was having an issue with my Micron B. I never fixed it, so this will be fun. We'll see if it had a chance to think about what it did last week. And I'll know right away because it was just spraying by itself, which means there's a chunk of paint in it, but I may be in for a surprise. Let's see. Or it might have fixed itself. Who knew? All right, so this is black. So now with the black, I'm going to keep a close watch on this. The black, again, has a kind of a brownish cast to it. I want to make sure it stays that way because this darkest color has a really brown feel to it. So if I start spraying this and it doesn't quite feel the right color, if it starts to feel like, say, bluish, then I would add a little bit of something to this to help it along. But this feels pretty good. That is a ragged edge there, boy. Bob, have a good night. Brother Robert. So now I can start rolling in. Now, edges of shadows are usually darker than the interior because of, you know, the reflected light that's going on nearest the object that's casting the shadow. So if I get this kind of edge in, I can kind of fade it as it goes back towards the light, and that'll give me that secondary reflection off of the bottom of the bezel. Now it's there, but it's really subtle, so I don't want to, I don't want to be a maniac about it and push it too hard. Now I'm going to start this edge here with just the black, but I think I'm going to use a template for this because that edge there is pretty sharp. It's actually looking pretty good, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. And this edge here is really dark. Cool. This edge here has the rest of the bezel on it. And then that fades out to this guy here. Now the nice thing about this is, so I've used opaque pyrrole red and black, and so what I can do is like there's, well, I'll show you. Let me finish this up first. So this edge along the top is pretty dark, so I'm going to add that in with the black. And you see what I'm doing with the black? This is where it gets really cool. So instead of mixing up a darker color for that, I can do that mixing right on the surface. It works out really well. And it's not going to be crazy as I go through this painting because to get that effect, I just use that darker red color that I have and then black. I know that's the kind of, the kind of marching orders for that. But we're going to get into the stuff that adds the interest to it in a second. This goes up into here, and there's all kinds of other stuff that goes on up above, but I'm more concerned with this area, the bottom area down here, which we're going to get to in a second. Nice. This edge right here, the shadow is pretty dark. So like this edge here, this bottom edge, if it needed to be a little bit tighter, it's super easy to just grab the template again and give it another hit with the black. So start here and then just give it a couple passes with the template on it. You don't want to go nuts, but just a couple passes, and then that kind of resharpens up that edge right there. Okay, but that's not what we want to do here. This is what we want to do next. So that's pretty much close. That's close enough. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of that. Now the fun part. So this is it's a bright red car. It's got a lot going on in it. It's not metallic, but it does have a lot of reflection in it. So there is as it gets close to the highlights on the local color of this car, which is that bright red, it kind of takes on a yellowish hue, like a fire engine red type of hue. So that's one of the extras we're going to add into this thing. So I'm going to clean out the red. What the? It's weird. Big smash of paint in there. There we go. So I'm going to use golden yellow for this. So it's just straight up golden yellow. I'm going to try golden yellow by itself to see if it, I'm going to do a drop of white to it as well, just to give it a little bit of push. The yellow is great, but it's pretty transparent. So And I want this to kind of have a little bit of body to it. Yeah, better. All right, that's the yellow. And when I show this to you, it looks like golden yellow. It doesn't look like it has white in it because it's just a drop. But that drop really gives it a little bit of body, which is nice. What's the ability to get only mass gauge? So in the end, Pat, it's not going to be that much. It's a great, great question. Because what's going to happen is as soon as I get this to the point, I'll switch out to this so you can see it. As soon as I get this to the point where I've got most of the stuff in, not all of it, but most of it, like maybe 75 to 80% of the way there, I'll unmask the whole thing and finish it without the masking on it. So, you know, that won't really give me a big paint edge here. So the good news is too, the only reason I chose this method on this one is because there is such a hard edge in a lot of these areas. So even if there is a big paint mask or paint edge, a lot of buildup there, it's not going to show. So that's a great, great question. All right, so for the yellow happens where the light is really kind of not highlight strong, but you know, strong in the local color, which is right in the middle of this little convex kind of opening. So I'm going to start right in the middle, and I'm going to go really lightly and just add a little bit of that glow to that. Can you see that? Is that not, I mean, I don't know if you can pick it up. It's not much. But that does, you know, again, there's going to be all kinds of, well, I'll show you again. Here's the reference. There's going to be all those super bright white highlights all over the place, but see in the middle of that where that it kind of, you could definitely see it on the left-hand one a lot clearer. See that really like almost like fire engine, like orangey tomato red color under the light. So that's what we're going for. And again, you'd never think that. You look at that and you say, oh, it's red, you know? But it's there, and that's really what sells the painting. So there's the first one. The other one, again, the one that's over here, since I got this on the brush, this one over here is much more pronounced. So now this is nice because I can't really overdo this either. Say I put too much of this on here, all I got to do is run back over it with the red and it's gone, you know? So it's a nice subtle thing, you know, that kind of you can add like that. That's probably a little bit too much for what it really is, but I'll just, you know, dust over with the red and it'll be gone. It doesn't appear on this one over here because it's mostly in the shadow, but you get the idea. There you go. Good, Todd. I'm glad. All right. So let me move these. You get a kind of a view of this. Right. It doesn't look like much, but it will. And now you kind of, excuse me, now you have a kind of feel for, you know, what's going to be involved in this across the board. In the end, again, my hope is just it reads as a red car, a red Corvette with the hood open and a car show, and that's it. But there's going to be a lot going on, and it's all going to kind of pull together to pull off the illusion. Because in the end, remember, it's really just a 1/8 piece of board. It doesn't have any dimension at all. So we're trying to trick people into seeing, you know, this three-dimensional object, which is what makes it fun to be an artist, right? All right, so that's what I got. I'm gonna move all this stuff out of the way so I can see y'all. Y'all, listen to me. Get that out of the way, and that's what I got. So congratulations to Mr. James Cully. I know we had a bunch of 543s, so I'm assuming that Ian and Grumpy had their 543 suggestions. And to all who haven't won yet, we're only halfway through the year, and a lot of people have won. The list is actually kind of, you know, not very big at all. So I know we'll get through all of them, which is great. So keep putting those suggestions in and you will win a painting. I am going to get back on the points thing. I'm still trying to figure that out. So everyone's going to get one anyway. So that's what we got. All right. So go buy stuff. Summer 25, 40% off everything. That's my sales pitch of the day. Take advantage of it. It's huge. So 40% off summer 25. That'll run through the end of the month. So only a week left. So get your orders in. I have a crazy July, but I will get, you know, I'll get all those orders out. This week is normal. So the time lapse hits tomorrow. If you're not a member here, you can catch that tomorrow at 10 a.m. And it's in the time lapse section. of the website. And if you are a member, you already saw it, so that's fun. And then Wednesday is Open Studio, so I have the next installment for the Tokyo painting. That thing's coming along great too. All right, so have a great week. Stay safe, be good to one another, and I will catch you all next week. Get to look at the Corvette on the way out, so there are worse things. See you later.